Vanderbilt, Quentin Malora-Brown get some ball screens that could free somebody up.
Big wins for Missouri and Arkansas already tonight. Livingston baseline. And a fadeaway is short over Studi. Two and a half minutes in, a 2-point advantage. The team from Lexington. Studi against Toppin. Methodical approach for the Commodores here. And Lewis. That was a three. He's short. Wallace on the deck. Able to corral the rebound at Toppin finally.
Really solid defense in the half court by Kentucky so far.
Pump fake by Wallace. Frederick open for a moment. Lewis ahead to Tyron Lawrence, who's averaged 19 points per his last three. Strong move inside, the reverse connects.
Good job. Kentucky knows he wants to go left. They force him right, but he still manages to get to that left hand on the other side of the rim after a strong right baseline drive.
It is an interesting series despite the 13-game winning streak by Kentucky. Cats have been challenged against Vanderbilt at Rupp and also here in Nashville. They've always found a way, and a foul called here against Jacob Toppin.
And with a smaller lineup, you may be able to win more 50-50 balls than you normally do, being the quicker, undersized team as Vanderbilt.
Well, that certainly was a focal point for Coach Cal this morning at shoot-around. 50-50 balls, hustle plays. We've got to find a way to make sure we're capitalizing in those moments. First meeting of two between these two teams this season. 4 minutes in, the lob to Jordan Wright. Right against Shibwe. 10 on the clock. Well, the crossover behind the back. What was that? Wright gets it back, and he's fouled.
Well, the missed shot, but it might have turned out even better for Vanderbilt because you get to the free throw line and get a foul on Shibwe. You see what happens when the 4 and 5 have to switch. Jordan Wright does a nice job not settling for the jumper, making the big man Shibwe move his feet. And what might look like a small play of just a foul, that's a big one against 34 in blue.
Welcome back to Nashville. Tie game early on between Kentucky and Vanderbilt at 4 apiece. And of course, the question everyone, not only in the SEC, but the entire country is asking is how in the world you defend Oscar Shibwe. Well, it's something I chatted with Jordan Wright about earlier today at Vanderbilt shoot-around. Certainly with missing the big presence of Liam Robbins in this game tonight, how they would go about defending Big Oscar. They said, well, we've watched other games across the SEC. Certainly what Texas A&M did a few days ago, double and at times triple teaming Oscar. They said they have so much confidence in Quentin Malora-Brown and not only his ability to defend Oscar Shibwe, guys, but the amount of times he's had to do it before, even going back to last season. And Kentucky fans will remember especially Vanderbilt giving them quite a game in the SEC tournament a season ago. So they have a ton of confidence in their big guy QMB, and they said the name of the game, be physical early, frustrate him, be all over him, and you've seen that matchup plenty as already tonight, guys.
2 free throws for Jordan Wright, Alyssa. Thank you. He's 74% of the stripe this season. I mean, there is that familiarity with QMB, right? And the experience means something. That physical play means something.
Well, more than just being physical, that's only part of the solution. You have to be a player, and that's what Malora-Brown is. You got to know to be the second guy off the ground when you contest shots. Don't fall for pump fakes. Know when he's going left, know when he's going right. And Quentin Malora-Brown is kind of the glue to this Vanderbilt team. On the offensive end, there's nobody in the SEC that sets more screens than 42.
That's a lost art. You don't see a lot of quality screens these days. Wright clears the rebound. Wallace shoved him down. No, they'll say that's a held possession.
And here's the box out right on cue, as Alyssa was pointing out. Keep your eye on 42. Give contact, try to get it over the back. Good job just keeping Shibwe off the glass. This is a thin Vanderbilt team like we talked about up front against the nation's best offensive rebounding team in Kentucky. so far they're stepping up to the challenge with 0 offensive rebounds early in this game.
Possession arrow, it'll stay with the Commodores. 2-point advantage almost 5 minutes in here in Nashville. You mentioned being smart. Quinn Malora-Brown, a mechanical engineering major. There's the lob. Lawrence slams it home. Elevation for numero 0. Reeves on the other side, and that's a 3.
He is hunting his shot in transition. You can't stick around and celebrate. You better get back and find 12.
1-point game. Antonio Reeves, 5 of 11 from deep in that win against Texas A&M on Saturday. Well, Lawrence showing you the athleticism. Malora-Brown rejected by Toppin from behind. Here's Xavier Wheeler. And a double dribble.
Well, some good actions there by both teams. Vanderbilt with that back screen. I believe it was Malora-Brown that set it up for the lob dunk, and then Kentucky in transition gave us a little bit of pace to this game for the first time. Some back and forth.
A little clunky to start, it felt like. Both teams kind of feeling each other out. Monster game coming up this weekend for Kentucky as Kansas comes calling. Jayhawks have lost their last 3. And a foul called as Lawrence tried to go around the screen.
This is the back screen here. We talk about what a good screener Malora-Brown is, and Lawrence playing some of the best basketball of his career. And Reeves coming off that huge performance against Texas A&M, where he had 5 triples. So Kentucky was a team where you wondered would they have enough shooters, and all of a sudden they're leading the league in 3-point percentage. Much thanks to 12 and blue.
Lawrence feeling it, short on the 3, tap to Reeves. Antonio Reeves, a transfer, was 13 points per game this year. Shibwe double teamed. Somehow snuck it up and in, right over Malora-Brown.
He was surrounded with players in traffic and help defenders, but instead of putting the ball on the ground where they could steal it, he just stayed strong, kept it simple, went straight up.
You go back to monster numbers he's put up. Georgia game comes to mind. Floater's good. And Tyron Lawrence playing well.
Yeah, you just can't let him get to his left. You have to sit on that left hand, force him the other way.
Outside to Reeves, the floater. All net. Silky smooth in traffic.
He's very comfortable with that shot. And when teams run him off the 3-point line, that's his counter.
Ezra Magnon checks in for Vanderbilt. That's a foul on Wheeler. Wheeler's seen playing time the last 2 games. Significant minutes in the first half, not as many in the second.
But Kentucky's going to need this kid to be a big part of their team. Provide an extra boost, change of pace with him coming off the bench. Yes, this particular team has done better with Cason Wallace as the primary ball handler, but let's not forget Xavier Wheeler was the key to this team last year at the point guard spot that got a number 2 seed. So the kid can play. It might take him a little while to get his feel coming off the bench for the first time in his career, but a really important player.
The blow by, right past Magnon. Right, and that's different. It's going to take some time to figure that out in terms of rhythm for this team, right?
There's going to be a game this season where maybe Wallace has some foul trouble and Wheeler has to play a ton of minutes.
Malik Dia for 3. 8 of 23 on the season now after that deep shot, and we're tied at 13. Reeves attacking and finishing. He's got 7.
A smart play. We've seen him do the floater, and that time the defense never stopped the ball, so he didn't settle, got all the way to the rim.
He's the 2nd leading scorer in the transfer portal a year ago. Illinois State, here's Jordan Wright. Outside. And right against Wallace. How about the defense? Tried to hook him. Couldn't finish. Shibwe controls.
I'm not sure he tried to. He accomplished it.
Well, this game has taken on a breakneck pace. Wallace off the mark from downtown. Do you expect to see Kentucky shoot the 32 threes we saw against Texas A&M on Saturday here tonight?
I don't think they should. Against Texas A&M, it's what it was called for because of all the double teams. Against this Vanderbilt team, inside shots lead to inside rebounds. See if you can't dominate on the offensive glass.
I love it when you have all the answers. Makes me feel smart, even though you're smart. Sheboy down low.
Well, that's where you want the ball in Sheboy's hands and just get him a ton of paint touches.
Now Kentucky shooting a blistering 67% out of the gate. 2-point advantage, 9 minutes in. Dia came off the bench ready to roll. Jordan Wright probing, gotta go, 1 to shoot. Reeves was open. Sheboy intercepted that pass. He'll get a rebound and a quick foul. No basket. Foul on the floor.
Well, the reigning National Player of the Year and SEC Player of the Week is showing you just how skilled he is down low. When he gets position, it is over. 34 putting in work.
Them together. The only thing that brings about change is a crisis. That was a crisis. They came together. They talk about a meeting. I'm telling you, the only thing that brings about change is a crisis. You can have a meeting with no crisis. You're wasting time.
Dane, I don't think it's all that often that you hear Coach Cal talk about avalanches and a crisis occurring. But after the South Carolina loss, in Rupp no less, it felt like everything started to change with Kentucky basketball. And that's exactly what it was. But obviously since then things have improved. But I mean, look, you go back many years and Coach Cal's dealt with this as teams have made their runs to the tournament, including back in 2014.
Yeah, this team was built a little bit differently with several freshmen coming in, Julius Randle, the Harrison twins, but they didn't have the resume either entering the NCAA tournament. Yes, they were maybe misseeded a little bit, but they got hot at the right time. They captured that 1-seed path over Wichita State and marched all the way to the championship. So sometimes it's not a thing of beauty in the regular season. However, that adversity during the season does bring a team closer together if you can bond and be mature enough to handle it. I will say that quote made me feel like our production meeting today was pretty useless, like we were just wasting our time. There's really no crisis. We met. But what did we truly accomplish?
I don't know. That's a good question.
I'm not meeting with you anymore.
Thank you.
No, not until there's a crisis.
I like to avoid the crises at all, if at all possible. That Wichita State team that year was like 61-0, right? They hadn't lost in 3 years. And Kentucky was misseeded coming in. There's contact and a blocking foul.
Yes,
Be called on Trey Thomas.
As Coach Kyle told us at shoot-around today, we brought that up. He said, look, I told everybody the selection committee didn't do us wrong. They did the 1-seed wrong, and he was exactly right on that.
Toppin goes out. Livingston back in for Kentucky. 2-point advantage for the road team halfway through the first. I mean, teams that don't go through that adversity, you know, there's something to be said about not having that come tournament time. You mentioned the bonding experience if things work out. I think right now it appears as if things are working out. Wheeler left open. Left-hander delivers off the mark. Livingston corralled it and a fresh 20. Shot clock down to 6. Lance Ware.
See, that's on Livingston, though. You got to understand when the ball's in your hand on the wing and there's 5 seconds left, you don't throw it to Lance Ware. That's not his game. You got to take that off the bounce, go make a play instead of throwing it to the big man where he's not in a good position.
Manuel Ansong on the floor for the first time for Vanderbilt. Commodores 3-3 in the SEC. Kentucky 4-3. Dia thought about it again, just launched a 3 and connected off the bench. Mignon No. Ansong, yes. When the ball around the horn quickly. Here's Dia, the turnaround. High arc or no? Hesitation by Wheeler. Livingston. And Ware over the back.
Again, another good, solid box out, that time by Dia. Got to try to be one and done on this end of the court if you're Vanderbilt.
Oscar Tshiebwe back on the floor, has the one foul, 4 points already, 3 boards. It's been 2.5 minutes since our last point has been scored in this one.
Here's the most popular lineup in Lexington right now. You've got your 2 shooters with Reeves and Frederick topping at the 4. Of course, Wallace at the 1 and Tshiebwe at the 5. Been a very efficient group that they rode to a brilliant second half against A&M.
And really the second half of each of the last 2 games, this lineup has provided the difference for the Cats. Ansong wide open. Tried to bank that one in. Frederick tracks it down. In your mind, is it the size? Is it the shooting? Is it all of the above? Is Tshiebwe missed the chippy?
I think it makes Tshiebwe's life easier too when you got shooters all around. You got mismatches. The key is on this end of the court. Can this group hold their own defensively? So far, they've proven that they can. I think they complement each other really well.
Ansong spins it in. Tied at 17. That'll stop a scoring drought of over 3 minutes for Vanderbilt. Close out quick on Frederick. Reeves open. That's been his spot. Not this time. Antonio Reeves gets it back. The flush on the putback by Toppin.
And Jerry Stackhouse looks at his bench. He's ready to put somebody in. That's just inexcusable. You got to not stare at the ball when it goes up. Find your man. Check out. He told us that at shoot around. He said you can't just look for the ball or go look at your man. By the time you turn around, it's over.
Dia for 3. Commodores back in front. Dia has 6 off the bench. Frederick, the dump off to Tshiebwe. Triple team, no matter.
What great hands by Tshiebwe and a terrific pass by Frederick that just realized, I know there's a lot of traffic there, but if I can get it to 34, it's 2 points.
Frederick in these last 3 games on and off the floor, despite what the numbers may indicate, has provided a calming presence for Kentucky. Ansong too strong. Toppin clears. Tshiebwe again open. The pump fake. And the foul. 21-20, 6:19 to go in the first. And a great one brewing in Nashville. Pacific on ESPN. Also the app. College Game Day tips off our coverage from Thompson Bowling Arena at 7 o'clock Eastern. El Duncan in the house. Andrea Carter, Rebecca Lobo, Carolyn Peck, Hall of Famer, and Holly Rowe. What a scene it will be this coming Thursday, Dame Bradshaw. We look forward to it and tell you some vintage highlights there of some of the all-time greats between those 2 sides.
Yeah, you mentioned it, how it elevated the women's game, and it forced everybody else to keep up to that standard. And you think about back then where it was either UConn, Tennessee, back and forth, winning national titles. But really the rest of the game wasn't as interesting. The March Madness wasn't. And now you got the parity in the women's game in large part to the example those 2 programs showed, them being the gold standard across the country.
One more free throw coming for Oscar Tshiebwe. 6 and 3 so far for the big man. 1 of 2 on that trip. Cats by 2. Anything surprising you so far with what we've seen in this first half?
Not too much. I think Vanderbilt's got to be pretty thrilled with where they are. They hadn't been dominated on their glass. Their first shot defense has to be a little bit better. And for Kentucky, look, he's going left. Cut him off. Lawrence has scored a couple times off the drive, off the alley-oop, but his penetration is something you must be aware of.
First foul on Antonio Reeves. Three-point prowess has been impressive these last couple of weeks, really all season long, shooting 40% from behind the arc. 6 minutes to go in the first. You mentioned Vanderbilt has to like their position. It's a team that's been competitive against most other squads in the SEC this year. Lawrence the fadeaway. Wallace skies for the rebound. Year 4 for Jerry Stackhouse. Recruiting's gotten better. Branding has improved. Facilities on the rise. Floater by Reeves. No, Malora Brown hit the deck. Lawrence claims it. Lawrence. Open look for Frederick. Steps into it. Spins it down. 25-20.
Great shot preparation by Frederick. He was calling for that ball. Stepped into it. Locked and loaded. Nailed it.
Alyssa had a long conversation with him earlier today, and CJ talked about perhaps the possibility of becoming the next Dane Bradshaw one day, maybe moving into that announcing realm, which we always encourage.
I got a feeling I might be CJ Frederick's backup in no time.
Inside Lewis. Lewis just his 3rd start, his 8th game. 1 possession game. Frederick wide open. And the pull-up contested, does not matter.
That's the shot you want to take if you're Vanderbilt. Frederick just better offense than the defense that time.
And you can feel Kentucky now with momentum.
They got to sit down and guard on this end of the court. Kentucky has stopped picking guys up with the extended ball pressure. They're sagging off a little bit or picking up around that NBA 3-point line. But from there, you just got to sit down and guard and stop this penetration.
Ansong against Sheboy. Somehow got it to go.
It's just too easy. They're getting shots at the rim and paint touches too often.
27-24. Vanderbilt's last win against the Cats way back in 2016, late February that season.
Yeah.
And a 3-second violation.
Usually it's Sheboy putting him work down low, and this time it's Ansong. Give him a little taste of his own medicine. Vanderbilt hanging in there with the Cats.
Oh no, our game recap. Kind of back and forth. Kentucky did build that 5-point advantage. And a good start for Sheboy. Really no surprise there. Dane, anything, again, surprising you?
To me, I think everybody needs to realize this is a good Vanderbilt team. I mean, they're extremely competitive. They hung in there on the road at Tennessee. They were able to upset Arkansas. They played Alabama pretty well. They go on the road and beat Georgia. So this is not a pushover team that you can just count and say, oh, well, that's going to be where we continue our winning streak. Coach Calipari knew it coming into this game, and sometimes it takes a first half like this for your team to truly understand, hey, there might not be any first-team All-SEC guys on their roster, but as a unit, this is a dangerous bunch that is well coached, well prepared.
And there's a lot of experience for the team in goal this evening. Certainly that means something. Already 5 ties, 6 lead changes. Studi. Sheboy controls the rebound. Wheeler, the full head of steam. Cut off by Lawrence. And the Cats back to work. Wallace inside, an easy path.
He is certainly a point guard you can post up. Does such a good job playing off 2 feet, very physical, strong enough to hold his own down low and get that angle.
Texas Player of the Year. Payson Wallace. Laura Brown not a threat from that distance. Kentucky leading the SEC this year in terms of 3-point percentage, 37% as a team. Lewis, that's a 3 and it's all net.
This is a guy that hadn't played in 2 weeks before he got thrown in the starting lineup at Georgia, knocked a couple 3-downs. He came off that ball screen with a ton of confidence.
And effective in start number 3. Wheeler to Frederick, great passing. And Frederick makes him pay.
And a good extra pass by Wheeler. When you've got that 2 point guard lineup and you got 2 distributors, Frederick was ready.
Cincinnati native now leading all scorers with 8 points tonight. Lead back to 5. Approaching 2 to go in the first. Lawrence against Wheeler. Melora Brown on the offensive glass. Turns it over.
That. Yeah, I mean, that was 2 points. You're not going to get any closer than that.
Frederick. And Studi with the rebound. Well, I think Kentucky fans have been waiting all season for number 1 in blue to just kind of get going. Hit a couple of rhythm threes and a half.
Yeah, but he does so much for their offense, even if he's not making a shot, even though he's connected on a couple already. Such a good mover off the ball, a screener for Shibwe, and a smart defender as well.
Studi off the bounce, the runner short. And here comes Toppin. Wheeler gets it back. They'll set up the offense, waiting for Frederick, who remains the opposite end of the court and grabbing his right foot.
See what happens here. Frederick. This is a guy that's always sprinting the court. Rarely do you see him with hands on his knees, so hate to assume, but looks like they might be working out a cramp there. And a guy like Frederick and Wallace that are logging a lot of minutes because they bring so many intangibles to the team. I do think you've got to be careful as a coaching staff, given Frederick's injury history. And then Wallace, again, he's a freshman. He's had some back issues. I don't think you can just log this guy 38, 40 minutes a game in mid-January and then be surprised come March if he's limping a little bit. You don't want to have happen what happened last year to the Cats, where they just weren't healthy in March.
Reeves throws in another mid-range. He has 9. And the lead swells to 7, less than a minute to go. So inevitably, that would mean more minutes for Wheeler in the second half, unlike what we've seen the last 2 outings. Is that what you're thinking?
Yeah, I think so. And Wheeler, they've shown that, hey, he can come in to back up Wallace, or if he comes in, instead of Wallace playing off the ball, they put Wheeler off the ball. It doesn't give you a 3-point threat, but another ball handler.
Deep 3 by Studi, back iron, Toppin the rebound. Shot clock is off. Now the Cats have made 5 of their last 6 field goal attempts to build this 7-point lead in a timeout for this final possession.
Tell you, Roy, Antonio Reeves is playing with as much confidence as we've seen him all season long. We talked about his great performance against Texas A&M. This was a kid whose offense was ahead of his defense, and as that kind of got exposed a little bit in SEC play, I think he was thinking more than playing. And now that he's gotten more confident on the defensive end of the court, gotten into his routine and rhythm, and they found some successful lineups, now he's just playing the game again. He's a natural scorer, and those types of guys, they got to just be playing ball. If they're worried about going to the right spot or how they just got beat on defense, then mentally they're out of it.
Don't forget about our college basketball doubleheader. Headed your way next Wednesday. Wendell Green leads number 15 Auburn against Terry Roberts and Georgia. That's from the Jungle Neville Arena down on the Plains, 7 Eastern. LSU and Mizzou follows that one at 9 o'clock Eastern on February 1st. Yeah, next Wednesday right here on SEC Network. Also on the ESPN app. Should be the final possession of a first half that has seen Kentucky clamp down on Vanderbilt late. Reeves whips a pass inside to Toppin. And Lewis well short. 36-27 at the half. As we send you now to Alyssa Lang as soon as she tracks down Coach Cal. And they're going to talk things over in the locker room. A quick exit. We'll give you the update coming out of halftime when we return. 6 of the last 7 in the half. Studio coming up right now with a halftime report.
Well, that is a really good end of the half for Kentucky and a very unfortunate end of the half for Vanderbilt. We'll get into that as we move along. Daria, I got Patrick with me, and look at that shooter. How often did you see snow like that in Fayetteville? It snows plenty. I know that.
Actually, my freshman year, within the first few months.
Yeah. Didn't take long, huh?
No.
Yeah, they got some. They're expecting some 5 to 8 inches, but they played the game anyway, folks, and the place was a rocking and a rolling, and Mekhi Mitchell had some things to say. 2 early blocks.
Pink unis look fresh.
Yeah, coaches versus cancer unis there. Devo Davis had a nice evening.
He's been shooting the ball well the last few games.
LSU's lost 6 in a row. Their last win, December 28th against Arkansas. Their only conference win. Devo on the break after the LSU turnover. 26-11, then another turnover. Devo one more time. LSU turned it over 15 times. 10 of them in the first half. Oh, Ricky Council, what a good-looking dish to Jalen Graham. 15-0 run, and look at Muss.
Careful. Last year, remember he pulled his shoulder out of his socket.
That's a
He had to get shoulder surgery.
really
getting
good
that
one.
excited. I thought I was trying to take a screen at practice.
33-13, make it 36-13. LSU, by the way, had 14 points at halftime. They made 3 of 25 from the floor in the first half. Their fewest field goals in a first half in at least a decade. Trying to battle back in the second, Adam Miller and one. Then Justice Williams going to somehow cut what was a 25-point lead at one point
That's
to 11 eventually, and then
that's not going to cut it against an Arkansas defense that loves to get out in transition and do that. That's a big part of their offense. You're playing right into their hands when you're taking a deep three like that.
60-40. Arkansas' second fewest points they've allowed in an SEC game since they joined the SEC 31 years ago.
I think there was another flurry going on in Oxford.
I think you're right. A flurry of buckets from Missouri, especially from downtown. Kobe Brown back. Demoy Hodge for 3 there. Then Sean East. Little turn. Oh, that just picks his pocket.
Give me those cookies.
They got a number of guys with quick hands. Lead the league in steals.
Woo. Oh, that is pretty.
And they rotate so well, you can afford to put that kind of pressure. And if the guy goes by you, it doesn't hurt you so bad because you get help defense.
Missouri, first half, by the way, 47 points. They hit 9 threes. Their season average is a little over 8 in a game. That 3 there by Isaiah Mosley. It was 16-point lead. But Ole Miss, a nice end of the first half to cut this lead to 6. It felt like they were down 16, not 6 at that time.
Well, Ole Miss did a fantastic job staying on the glass, even though they weren't shooting the ball really well, and that kept them in striking distance.
Indeed. Second half, look at East. Watch this pass to Noah Carter, who then finds Mohamed Diarra for 3.
You have to approach Missouri like each guy, 5 guys on the floor can shoot the 3. What Coach Gates does so well running that offense. Creates opportunities for everybody.
Kobe Brown,
Stop and pop
to Hodge. Hodge hit 6 of his 11. 16 threes as a team for Missouri. 16 for 30. The 16 the most they've hit in an SEC regular season game since joining the league. There's another 3 for Kobe Brown, who missed the last game. 89-77. By the way, Matt Morrell out for Ole Miss as Mizzou gets the 500 in league play. Alley-oop. Tyler Lawrence, they're down 9 of the doors, though. In Southern Hoops, of course, as we remind you, they're up 9 at the break right now on Vanderbilt. If you're Vanderbilt, I want to know, PY, how you come out second half. Like, I know you got to make more threes than Kentucky does. 3 for 8 or 3 for 9 to this point is not going to cut it against Kentucky.
Well, Miles Studi and Jordan Wright right now are 0 for 8, and those are guys they have to find a way to get going. But it's going to be really difficult against the Kentucky team. And I have to say, this is the best I've seen them as a team offensively all season. Patient, taking good quality looks. And I remember against South Carolina, Coach Cal said, hey, we're not going to take shots that other teams are going to take. And this Kentucky team they're playing their game. They're not turning Vanderbilt over as much. Vandy only has 3 turnovers. But what Vandy has to do is continue to attack the paint, take good shots, and you got a chance.
I'm impressed with Kentucky's defense. Vandy puts up 97 against Arkansas, 85 at Georgia. This is a team that runs a very different type of an offense, but right now sitting on 27 points. To me, the key for Kentucky is going to be the defense.
I'm just thinking, if you told me Oscar Tshiebwe would have 7 points, 4 rebounds at halftime, I'd think, man, Vanderbilt is winning this.
Right,
right? But
exactly.
not the case. Kentucky up 9 right now, and Antonio Reeves, a big reason for that. The lead is 9. Reeves has 9 as we're getting closer to the second half at Memorial.
It just means more. This final SEC Big 12 Challenge certainly means more because this is it. The trophy resides at the SEC headquarters, and whether or not it stays there depends on what happens this coming weekend. Dane, you guys are going to be up in Morgantown, West Virginia. Auburn will be in town for that one. I'll have Ole Miss, Oklahoma State Saturday night. It's going to be a ton of fun.
Absolutely, and what an opportunity to get some quality wins for the SEC. Kentucky, of course, hosting Kansas, where some sharpshooters, Jalen Wilson and Grady Dick, but they're licking their wounds right now, are the Jayhawks. And where Kentucky has been so good with their offensive rebounding, last night Kansas really got beat up on the glass against Baylor. And so I know Rupp Arena is not going to be feeling sorry for the Jayhawks.
No, not at all. So Kansas has lost its last 3. In the Bill Self era, Jayhawks have never lost 4 in a row. Intrigue certainly set to unfold in the Commonwealth. It's a steal by Trey Thomas. Dia had 2 threes in the first half, attacking Tshiebwe here. Five minutes in, the lead down to 15. It was 18 moments ago. Studi is yet to get going. Smith baseline, muscles his way up and draws a foul.
Vanderbilt, the past couple possessions, just kind of forcing the issue. They're not able to get the open looks like they'd like to on the perimeter. And so when it breaks down, they're just lowering their shoulder, getting to the rim. Tough call there on Livingston.
Smith 60% at the line, a freshman from Dallas. He'll get 1 more. Foul was called on Chris Livingston. That's his first. He'll have a seat on the bench. A 5-0 burst by Vanderbilt, lead down to 13.
Keep an eye on that score. Let's see if this lineup that gave them such a boost in the second half against A&M can extend this lead, put this game away.
Hand off to Reeves. 10 to shoot. Tshiebwe will do that. Nearly banked it in top of the key. Well, you have to think Miles Studi has to get going at some point here, Dane. Only 3 points and 1 of 4 shooting.
Yeah, he's a sharpshooter. He might not get the clean look he wants, but he might have to take a few contested threes and hope for the best if Vanderbilt's going to be able to keep up on the offensive end.
Thomas, the step back and air ball. Toppin to Reeves, who gets it on the wing. Another offensive rebound by Tshiebwe, and the lob to Toppin.
Oh, they're sharing the basketball tonight, aren't they? And just smart plays. There's Frederick turning down a 3, penetrating, finding Toppin.
Out rebounding Vanderbilt 27 to 16 so far.
A couple times Toppin's really cut well off the ball. Reeves found him to end the first half. That time Frederick does as well. Just keep moving. Get those easy 2s.
Frederick, quick trigger. That's a 3. No, a long 2. 52-35. Well, Frederick, it feels like, has been in a solid rhythm so far. Munoz. Wallace is short, the shove, and a foul.
Going back to the last couple of buckets, after Tshiebwe gets the offensive rebound, good kick out, nice pump fake, penetration kills, Toppin moving without the basketball. And then here's Frederick taking the long 2. Shooters can make it from anywhere.
Cason Wallace just picked up his second, 3rd team foul. Frederick with 11 points so far tonight. The lead at 16, check at 15.
it's just been Frederick as a shooter. I mentioned before him as a screener, as a post passer where they can't double off. And on this end of the court, look at one's effort. He's chasing his guy. He's always in the right position. Just that high IQ player on the court makes others around him better. Nice lob over the top there by Vanderbilt.
Tia with great position down low. That last foul, by the way, on Shibwe, his second. 13-point advantage. Kentucky, Kansas this weekend. That just has a great sound and feel to it when you say it out loud in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. Great dish to Reeves.
Frederick's passing has been outstanding in this game, as well as the backside cutting by the Kentucky team.
He has 11 points, 5 dimes so far. Tia against Shibwe. On the spin baseline. And Shibwe is going to pick up the personal foul. Headed to break.
There's C.J. Frederick saying, I'm not just a shooter. You better respect my dimes. Woo! Nice back cut by Reeves. Up and away. Cats rolling. Had its impact on the game. Look how patient the big man is down low and all the attention he draws by the other team. And there he is, just everybody grasping at him, and Vanderbilt just does not have the guys to keep up. If you send a double team at him, Kentucky leading the league in three-point shooting. Guys like Wallace ready to knock it down. So anytime he's on the court, he's just the center of attention for opposing defenses. Speaking of defense, I didn't really like that last defensive possession. The big man's got to move his feet. I felt bad rewarding him with a highlight package after that last defensive breakdown. But you deserve it if you're Oscar Shibwe. More good than bad for the big man, certainly.
3 fouls against 34 in blue. The nation's top rebounder, the unanimous reigning player of the year a season ago. And emerging once again in 2023. Now, Jacob Toppin, Dane, has also secured his 4th double-double this season, almost quietly with the 12 points and 10 boards.
Just another guy that's evolved over the season. I think so many times guys go into the season putting so much pressure on themselves, whether they're the reigning national player of the year or you're trying to prove that you can be an NBA draft pick and you can shoot it from 3 and all these different things to your game, instead of just going with what got you there. And I think Toppin's been doing the little things. The next thing you know, he sneaks up with a double-double on you.
Great move by Mignon, could not finish, and a foul called inside. The shove goes against Colin Smith.
I think Kentucky's done a really nice job of making Vanderbilt prove that they can score from 2. And for Vanderbilt to win this game, I felt like they had to make 12 or more threes. I know that's a lot, but I felt like maybe half of their shots or so needed to come from beyond the arc. But Kentucky closing out strong, making those guys put it on the deck and finish through traffic.
4-12 so far from behind the 3-point arc, by the way. The Vanderbilt shooting just 35%. Cats at 57% efficient on offense, with or without Oscar Shibwe. Lance Ware back on the floor for the second time, the double nickel. Reeves full on his steam, dumps it out of bounds. Reeves said that was his bad.
That'll get you sent to timeout in my house. Give me that type of body language.
Curious to get your take on some of the other pivotal matchups in the SEC Big 12 Challenge. Tia, that's his 3rd three.
This guy Diaz come to play. I mean, if you're Jerry Stackhouse, you get 11 points from Diaz. You're thinking, we're in this thing. And with that one, keeps Vanderbilt within striking distance.
And he had 7 threes all season before tonight. He's got 3 this evening. Runner by Reeves.
A tough shot. He just got that down. Most players take that. You say, hey, we can get a better look than that. When Reeves takes it, you say, okay, you're the exception.
Reeves with 13, the lead back to 14. Tia see if they try to find 23 in gold again. He's got a career high 14. Previous career high was 9. Paul Lewis also with a career high in terms of points. Still hasn't been enough against Kentucky. Lawrence, blocking foul call. Oh, and Wallace hit the deck hard inside the restricted area.
Good hard drive here. I thought Wallace was there. feel you get him in a role, and all of a sudden he's embracing coming off the bench. Everybody understands what they're doing and proud of their role and how they're helping the team. And you start to click.
Lawrence at the free throw line. Vandy has not missed at the strike tonight. Lawrence down with 9. Wheeler in the last 2 games combined had played 2 minutes in the second half. Had 17 minutes overall tonight. We've seen him on the floor a good bit. 2 points, 5 assists so far. Dan.
The bottom line is they've been as good or better when he's on the court. They haven't lost a lead or allowed Vanderbilt to gain any ground. So when you start to look at where Kentucky ranks among the SEC teams, they will absolutely Missouri out. Missouri smacked Kentucky. I get it. This is a different Kentucky team than what played up in Columbia. And so here right now, I think they're in certainly the top quadrant of the SEC.
At Dan Bradshaw on Twitter, if you disagree, we encourage that. Frederick, shot clock winding down. Here comes Lawrence. Pops out to Ansong. Inside the backcourt, he'll get it back. Big game tomorrow night, Auburn and Texas A&M. Maybe that will contribute a little bit more to that conversation. Alabama ranked second as Lawrence finishes down low. Comes the time for Mississippi State tomorrow in Tuscaloosa. Brandon Miller continues to set the college basketball world on fire.
And this is going to jump out as the huge resume builder on paper at the end of the year. What Kentucky's doing to Vanderbilt right now, it's really impressive. Arkansas came in here and got beat. Alabama had a tough game. They won by 12. And yes, I know William Robinson's out. But this Vanderbilt team was playing with a lot of confidence, playing some small ball after getting that nice win on the road in Georgia. And so I think this is less about Vanderbilt and more about who Kentucky is becoming.
I like the picture you're painting. Got a lot of basketball left to be played. I think there's going to be 5 teams that are locked for the NCAA tournament out of the SEC this year. More than likely 6. The question is who else can emerge out of the middle of the pack, which is just so deep, so athletic. There's not a ton of great shooters in the conference. We understand that. Wheeler, no. Shibway pops it out to Frederick with the pressure point. But there's a lot of talent. There's a lot of speed. There's a lot of impressive teams reaching different ways defensively. Wheeler, the soft kiss on the front of the rim. He's got more.
Weeks ago, you were hard-pressed to find maybe 2 guys on this Kentucky roster playing with confidence. Now you're hard-pressed to find a couple that aren't, right? I mean, they've got their rotation down. This is a great time for Wheeler, as we mentioned. Livingston had been great tonight, but that's okay. His teammates pick them up and fix them up if I have to if somebody else is off. But there's not a guy on this court right now that doesn't feel good about how they're playing for the Kentucky Wildcats. And that's a big-time positive sign for Coach Calipari.